Well, this morning we're talking a lot about the Yankees announcement this morning that the facial hair policy, the no facial hair policy, has been amended. Something that's been in place since 1976. Harold Reynolds, Robert Flores with you. Vlad Jr. wouldn't have to shave the beard if he decided to head to New York.
Well, he might.
Well, speaking of which, let's bring in Keegan Matheson, who covers the Toronto Blue Jays for MLB.com. And Keegan, you too could also play for the New York Yankees, although the jury is out on whether or not the beard is too much or, is, in your words, too woodsman's-like. So, you know.
That was the only thing holding me back from not playing for the Yankees, fellas. So the floodgates are open now. I'll be over taking some DH at-bats this afternoon in Tampa.
Well, circling back to Vlad Jr., the news was big earlier this week at Blue Jays camp in Dunedin that the team and him have failed to come up on an extension, so he's prepared to hit free agency. Since that announcement, how has the mood been like at camp, and where has the story evolved since then?
Surprisingly good mood, and I think it's because everybody likes Vladdy. His teammates like the guys, so I think he has their support, and it hasn't seemed like too big a distraction yet. Now, we'll see if they start out 10-20 or going to run in the other direction, 20-10, how that changes this conversation. But even the morning of, guys, it was fascinating to see Vladdy come out and speak to us. He walked out of that clubhouse all smiles. He was saying hello to the security staff, all of us. And I thought, what's going on here? But the news came much differently. He's been in good spirits, though. He has looked like himself. He's the life of the party and the leader at the same time. It's been interesting to watch, but my goodness, these few days have certainly tilted spring in a different direction.
You know, Keegan, it's interesting to me. How did they get to the deadline? Like, who set, like, this is it right here? How'd that come about?
That's on Vladdy's side, and Vladdy's really taken control of this, guys. He knows how this works. He's been around baseball for a long time, but he's been around the business side, and his dad's been around that too, which matters. Because put this conversation on your average 25-year-old, no thank you. But Vladdy really seems to be handling this quite well. And he continued to center his teammates in all of this too, saying he did not want it to be a distraction. Now, it's not going to go away. No matter what happens with this team, every single thing about the Blue Jays, guys, is tied to Vladdy. It always has been for the last decade. So it's not going to disappear. It's not going to be not asked about. But he's handled it pretty well, and this deadline was from his side. Now the two sides have the year to awkwardly wait this out. It's not going to get any better, any more comfortable from here.
Well, you said two things, awkward, and you said tied to Vladdy. And that brings me to Bo Bichette. So what does this mean for Bo if they're negotiating with Vladdy and there's a deadline? I mean, they're tied together. So what are we hearing about the Bo camp?
It's been Vladdy and Bo forever, guys. And when I spoke to Bo last week, he said the team hasn't reached out recently. There haven't been talks. And this is interesting for me because let's go back 1 year. I would have been saying right now, okay, is Vladdy a great hitter or is he a really good one? He hadn't had that big 2024 yet. And a year ago, I would have been saying Bo Bichette is the most predictable, consistent player in this whole organization. He's going to hit 300. He's going to OPS 810 every year. 2024 changed all those conversations. And right now, guys, I wouldn't know where to come at Bo Bichette number-wise. With another big year, maybe he gets back to that Willy Adames territory, I think would be a good comp to work with. But right now, that's got to be a really tough valuation, both for Bo and the Blue Jays side. So I think it makes sense for him to play out this season as well. But I think very quickly people are going to realize that last season was an outlier for Bo, and he's a big deal too this season.
So let's pivot and let's talk about some I guess better news, if you want to term it that way. There are some newcomers that are a part of this franchise. You got Anthony Santander, Max Scherzer, Jeff Hoffman, Andres Jimenez. Just big picture view, what these newcomers and what they potentially mean for this Blue Jays lineup.
The lineup additions are big, starting with Santander, guys. Having someone to hit behind Vladdy is a big piece of this. They need to upgrade this offense, not just a little bit, significant. They need to do that. Jimenez, guys, if you had told me their first move this offseason would be another glove-first second baseman, I would have laughed at you. But that's why this is so interesting. He fits, and certainly shortstop long-term, potentially, Bo Bichette is elsewhere. I think where this really gets interesting, guys, is Max Scherzer, and seeing him throw early on in camp here. Typically, it's 9, 10 a.m. in the morning, and a starter like Chris Bassett or Kevin Gausman is going to throw an inning, maybe 2 innings. I was standing behind that bullpen mound the other day, watching Max Scherzer throw and throw and throw. My God, this guy must have thrown 5 innings in a bullpen side session. It is incredible to watch. You see how intense he is, and the dude just kept throwing. And behind him, you're seeing a little bit of it right now, but he had as many pitchers and coaches behind him as I've seen in a long time. If you are Bowden Francis, or if you're a prospect coming up, you better be following him right to his car and opening his door for him, man. This is an incredible opportunity for a lot of these young guys.
Hey, I tell you what, quick Max Scherzer story. So we're shooting a commercial for Nike. And so we're going to follow him to get live video and a simulation game he's going to throw that day. Camp hasn't started, but he's been running the laps in the new Nike gear and all this other stuff, and now he's going to throw. And so they send me over. Max, you mind if we watch you throw a bullpen and as you get ready to go into the sim game? No problem. So he throws and warms up in the pen, takes his hat off, stands there like the anthem is going. So what do? I take my hat off. I stand there too. There's nobody singing. So we're standing there doing the anthem, and then he puts his cap back on and sprints to the mound for a sim game to face 3 simulated hitters. That's Max Scherzer.
That's a great story. Hey, Keegan, George Springer, he's going to be seeing some time in left field. We showed that lineup. Dalton Varrho is questionable. He's dealing with a bit of a shoulder issue. So kind of 2 points here. Give us a little update on Varrho, and then what do you see with the possible transition for Springer going to left field?
Yeah, guys, Varrho's been a little further along than I expected, because with an outfielder with a shoulder injury, we're typically talking about pitchers. So Varrho as a center fielder is hard to project. Now, throwing is going to be the big part of all of this, and Dalton Varrho loves to run into walls as well. So I guess you need to brace yourself for that at some point in this recovery. But hitting, he's all the way up. He's taking full BP, facing live pitching, which is at least more than I expected to see. So even if he needs a little bit of time off the top, it doesn't seem like it's going to be much. George Springer moving over to left now makes a lot of sense as well, because then you can max out this lineup a bit with Santander in right. But George Springer hasn't played a ton of left field in his life, but I think his ball skills are still an important part of this. When Springer's chasing down a ball, you do still kind of see that multi-sport athlete. He makes adjustments around the ball. You're going to see some of these diving catches here now. If he can get to it, he can make that play. Yeah. And I trust him to be a solid left fielder over there. He's still got these 2 years left on his deal. Any way that he can be part of this, he's eager to, guys. Lineup is another conversation. He doesn't care if he hits 1, 4, 5, 6. It might look a little different than it did when he signed that 6-year 150 here 4 years ago, but he's trying to get back on this, and 2 years left in it. This is his chance to help the team again.
Yeah.
Hey, last thing, we'll let you go. So Canada won last night.
Did they?
So I know Springer was heavy into the hockey game. What are your thoughts?
Man, that was beautiful. I tell you, as one of MLB's token Canadians, this is a good day for me. I don't think much work is getting done up in Canada. It's a big Tylenol and coffee morning for my country, but there was a lot of talk, and Springer, he's always got that Hartford Whalers hat on.
There you go.
He's a Connecticut boy.
There you go.
Tough morning in the clubhouse, but a good morning for the Toronto folks down here.
Keegan Matheson covering the Toronto Blue Jays for MLB.com. Keegan, enjoy the time there in Florida, and we definitely can't wait to catch up with you soon. Appreciate it, man.